There was a time when I was working and my coworker, we went to Chipotle and literally this like actually fucking like this is like the worst thing you can do to like someone when you're arguing with them. So this is my kryptonite. Everyone, I'm giving you my kryptonite so you can challenge me, okay? Um I was talking about something with my coworker, right? And I believe like we were talking about like ways that you can be like led to believe something that's not true, right? We were talking about like propaganda and stuff. And I mentioned how repetition is a tool that's used for propaganda. It's a very obvious tool that is employed whenever you want people to believe a certain thing, right? Goebbels did it, fucking the Chinese, people do it, right? Governments do it. And I was saying that because they're used in this fashion, in terms of like political messaging and slogans, that it can also be used in daily life, right? That when you start to do the same thing over and over and over again, right? You especially see this in the military. I'm not joking, okay? Parallax can also attest to this, where they're going to make you do the same thing over and over and over again and drill it into your mind that like you have to do this thing, that it must be done. Literally. Even if it's correct, even if it's perfect, you still have to do it again. You have to make your bed, and even if you make it perfectly, there's no creases, there's nothing wrong with the bed, that you have to do it again, right? You have to, right? And this induces conformity, this induces subservience, this induces like obedience within the person. And so I'm saying that like think about like the person, someone's life, right? Having a routine, going to your job, brushing your teeth, like doing all this stuff, right? Think about like just doing that every single day and you barely deviate from that, or you don't even deviate from it at all. Like think about how that's used to control you, right? Like you're led to believe that you have to actually like you have to do these things, you have to get a job at a traditional workplace, and you have to do these, that you have to work on like you have to fucking type on a computer, and you have to like do things over and over and over again, and you have to be okay with this. Otherwise you're like a lazy piece of shit who's like scatterbrained and unintelligent, and like you're not disciplined and you lack willpower, and like you're like a complete and utter failure, right? I was mentioning this, right? I was mentioning how this is like another example of repetition, and how this thing as a part of a repertoire or a toolkit within different things that governments and people can use to instill not discipline, but like obedience within you, right? And they'll use it to distract you too, to make you subservient to them, right? And he's like, and I started making the point about the Chinese Communist Party, and how they started putting someone in like a closed area, and how they made this person repeat that they like supported the Chinese Communist Party, right? They made this person repeat that, and they made them say it over and over and over and over again, and they recorded it, and they kept on recording it, right? Every single day he would say this, and every single day it would be recorded, and literally like whenever he would contradict his statement, they would play the recording, or they would show him the piece of paper that he wrote on and saying, "Wait, didn't you write this? Hold on, what didn't you write this? Like you wrote this, right? You wrote this on this piece of paper. So you believe in, there's recordings of you believing it." Like they basically told this person like, you wrote this down, you repeated yourself saying it to it on camera. So you have two things going on here, right? You have repetition, right? The repetition I was talking about earlier in terms of slogans, and you have the repetition in action. You have like the repetition in like the things that you're doing, right? And the things that you're doing is like what you're saying, right? So you have those two things, or I'm sorry, you have that, and you also have the social element, right? The social pressure, right? You have the social pressure, which is like, hey, hold on, you said this thing, you're socially now known as someone who supports us, and we've shown this to other people, and now we're showing it to you, and so like what's the deal here? Like you're insane, you sound crazy. Like you literally said this just the other day, right? So you have so many things playing like at play here to control this Chinese person or whatever the fuck who doesn't even believe in any of that. You have like these different things that are being used against him, all to like make him act a certain way, all to make him like think certain things, and all to make him just be completely and totally obedient to the Chinese Communist Party or whatever the fuck, the Chinese government, right? And I started mentioning those things to him, right? And he was like, you're failing to connect these points here, and you're fucking, it's because of your ADHD, like you're just a ADHD scatterbrain motherfucker. And that literally, like at that moment, I wanted to punch him in the face. I'm not joking, I actually wanted to punch him in the face, and I had to stop myself from doing that, okay? because I know I sound a little bit unhinged when I say that, but like you have to understand that like when you're like speaking amicably towards someone that you think you can confide, and keep in mind we're not like close like that. Like me and him, we weren't close like that, right? We were just kind of like coworkers, and it's just like, damn, that is like such a high level of disrespect that like I actually just want to punch you now. Like I actually don't respect you anymore, and like you're like pissing me off, right? And like
it's like you're putting it all together, and he's like not even catching it.
Yeah, I was laying. Yeah, it's like
onto you.
Like I wanted to say like
oh,
you're
you
failing to
don't
understand my
like-
point. Actually, no, that's what I said. I told him, I'm like, this isn't an error on your part, or I'm sorry, this isn't an error on my part. This is an error on your part. And I did something a little bit whatever, right? I like, because he mentioned my ADHD or whatever, I mentioned to him his autism, right? Now again, he's not formally diagnosed. He's not like any of that stuff, right? But he like constantly, well, not constantly, but like he like would occasionally say like, oh yeah, like, you know, everyone's on the spectrum, you know, fucking everyone's on the spectrum, like me, you know, you're on the spectrum, I'm on the spectrum, and I'm autistic, like I'm a bit autistic or whatever, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is what I told him, I'm like, your autism is so focused, or it's so like, it's so concentrated on something that like a particular thing that I said, and it's not focusing on the bigger picture. That's what I told him. I'm like, so your autism is failing you, right? That's essentially what I said to him, right? And yeah, it's like, listen, if you're a dick to me, I'm gonna be a dick to you back, right? And so as soon as I said that, like he started like doing like some really weird shit. Like after that, he literally started being like, I really want to shoot you on the kneecaps right now, like that would be like the one good, like if I had a gun and there were like fucking like there was you and there was someone else, and like this someone else was like a fucking evil person and like wanted to destroy the world, and you both were in the same room and I had one bullet, I'd use that one bullet on you. And it's just like, well, way to fucking go, my friend. Like, way to go. Congratulations.
Was this an internet person, or was this...
No, this was in real life. This was in real life. Yeah.
That's a real crazy person. That is like... Because I could...
And this guy, this is a 30. By the way, that was a 39-year-old man. By the way, that was and I was fucking like, that is a 39. I'm 20 years old. This was a 39-year-old man. Like this grown ass man, fucking lives in his. I'm not even joking when I say this. He literally lives with his mom. Okay. And here's the thing, right? Whatever, right? You can live with your mom. You can do that shit. But as long as you're trying to strive towards something greater, this motherfucker's not. This is a government job. Like this motherfucker is not striving toward anything greater. I quit the government job, by the way. But
yeah, this has nothing to do with where he lives. That's all fucking meme shit. Like this motherfucker is like, all that aside, that is like some. To say that to someone's face in the real fucking world, that is like legitimate illness of some kind.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, like, I'm 20 years old, you're 39, you're basically 2 decades apart from me, you have experience, you're supposedly maturing, or you've already supposedly finished maturing and are still heading toward a different kind of maturity. Supposedly, you're supposedly heading into late middle age, right? And you're saying this to me, and like I'm not trying to like even be disrespectful. I was never trying to be disrespectful toward him, right? And like I nowhere in anything that I said to him in the beginning was I ever like disrespectful toward him, right? I was just simply explaining my thoughts. I was just simply like, we were talking about
reciprocity. Okay, reciprocity is a death sentence to that type of person, because they basically have a socialist revolutionary mindset, and the second reciprocity is on the table, they constantly do so much insane fucking bullshit to kickstart the revolution that if reciprocity ever is on the table, the only good communist is a dead communist, and they know this intrinsically.
Basically.
So they have to kill you at that point. Once you put like, okay, the only rule now, clad in fucking iron, as Socrates said, is reciprocity. It's like, well, when it gets to that point, I just have to kill you. Because I know what's on the other side of my reciprocity back chain, because I know all the shit I've done to get to this point. And if that comes back to me, I'm dead anyway.
He, with what he says about autism or whatever, like, there are autistic people that I know that never act like this. Like, so he can't use his autism as an excuse if he ever tries to do that, or if he's ever done that with me, and I'm not remembering right now. Like, and in case someone in the audience is saying, like, oh, well, obviously he had autism. Well, listen, like, yeah, I don't know. This was a very strange person that I had the misfortune of speaking with and working with, yeah, needless to say, he represents basically almost everything I'm against. He's stagnant, not really doing anything, just kind of like moping around in this government job and like just kind of like fucking just striving toward nothing. Fucking.
I thought you stopped recording several times, motherfucker. Are we still
No, I'm like stopping and then starting and then because when things get interesting, like I like recording it or whatever.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, when things get interesting, I like recording it. There's like so many interesting things that we say.
Edit out all the Riz, the Gat, the Ohio.
Yeah, of course. No, but there's so many things that we say together that I just find so interesting, and it's just like, well, why not? Why not record it? Because I think it's interesting. If I think it's interesting, other people must think it's interesting. Haha, right? I can get you so far, right?